So I'm going to go to my next example here. This is a similar situation. So this gentleman I've worked with for years. He has a long history of back issues. So he has some scoliosis and has had some hip issues that he has gone to going to get x-rays, MRIs, and basically they're telling him we can't find anything wrong. But he absolutely loves to play. Used to own an off-course retail store. One of the biggest students of the game I've ever met. He texted me the other day and he said, "Hey, I just got out the 385th training aid I've ever bought." I mean, he jokes that he has a whole room full of training aids. So him not playing is not an option. So I had a lesson with him 2 weeks ago. And he showed up and he said, "You know, Matt, I was about to text you and cancel because I can't swing a club. My hip hurts really bad right now. I can make half swings." And I said, "Well, let's go do short game. Let's kind of loosen things up, then we'll come back." A lot of times, if someone's struggling, whether it's painfully or just they're having a tough time putting the club on the ball, I like to take them over to do some short game. So we went over, we did some pitching, worked on some of that, and no pain at all. Went back to the driving range. He was hitting balls for a little while. It was good. Then all of a sudden he hits one. He goes, "Ooh, that really hurt." I said, "Okay. Are you okay to swing? Are we going to cause damage?" "No, I'm good. It's manageable." So he hits a few more and I'm just watching him at this point, trying to see what the difference is. So it was almost every other swing. One hurt, one didn't. One hurt, one didn't. So right away, my mind is thinking, well, if it's his hip, it probably has to do with his pressure. And there's something that his leg is doing to his hip to cause pain. So I think I probably got 10 or 15 different videos of him on the pressure mat because I wanted to see exactly what was going on. And it was after about 6 swings where I noticed exactly what was going on. And what was really cool, we were basically able to give him a swing thought in relation to what this pressure trace was showing that completely eliminated his pain. And this was one of the more rewarding lessons that I've worked with. So,
hey Matt, before you get started on this, and I you know this because you're an expert, but this is one of those situations where the lead foot and trail foot in terms of what you see on the video are flipped versus what you see on the mat, right?
Yes. Yep. Yeah. So like I showed with the originally, so his right foot is on the right side of the screen, left foot is on the left. So it's almost like you're standing on top of the iPad. And basically those are your feet. It's really cool. So he was wearing a pair of, I can't think of the name right now, but the FootJoy shoes that really had the aggressive cleats. And it's really cool the way you can see the different pods in his shoe and the pressure mat. And that's what really made me realize how accurate these things are. So as we go and look at his swing here, so there really wasn't a big difference in the backswing. He's never gotten into his right side very well. And that's just a lot of it due to his physical limitations. He has things that really affect his side bend. So his lateral flexion of his spine, which would be this way, he basically can only go to here with his right side, where most people can easily go down and touch that right knee. And as a result, that really affects his impact position and affects how he can swing the club. So you're going to notice some things in his swing that you would think, man, he really flips the club a lot. He physically cannot get into kind of a normal impact position. We've been working with actually a TPI medical guy trying to increase the mobility for him as well. But if we take a look at the swing on the left, we're going to kind of zip through this a little bit here. So what I want you to notice, look at the end of his swing, and I want you to notice that number right there. So he is 96% into the front of his left foot. We look at this swing on the right, when he goes to his finished position, he's 60% on the, or 65% on the front of his left foot. You can actually almost tell just by his rotation and his facial expression, that swing on the left was one of the most painful swings of the day for him. The swing on the right was one of the least painful swings for him. And being able to identify the actual cause for that with the pressure mat, I would have never been able to see. So we can look at his feet. Those swings look identical. As far as foot placement, you can see there's less hip rotation with the swing on the left, just based on how much he has cleared his hips. But a lot of times we might look at that swing on the left and say, well, you just need to clear your hips more. and that's why it's hurting, because you're stalling out. But really what was happening is he was getting so far onto the front of his left foot over here. You can see how his right leg hasn't cleared, hips haven't cleared entirely. He would get so far in the front of his left foot. So if we were to stand and put all the weight on the front of our left foot, our left leg tenses. That makes our hip joint really tense up. And our hips have a little bit of movement kind of this way. This is very extreme. But that little bit of movement in his hip, by taking it away, by really tensing up that leg, really bound things up. And again, the doctors weren't able to figure out exactly what's going on there. But we noticed if he transitions into his left heel, he doesn't have pain. If he stays on the front of his left foot, he does. So that was a situation where I was able to tell him, basically, I want you to try to get to your left heel every swing. After we identified that and started working on it, I think he had 2 swings out of probably about 30 where he felt pain. And they were both swings where he stayed up on the front of his left foot. So he knew exactly what was causing it now and was able to correct it on the next one, versus he was swinging and hoping it didn't hurt. And that's not a fun way to play, especially if you're playing. He is a member guest, or we have our invitational in a week and a half. So, him playing 2-3 days in a row really probably wouldn't have been an option, just with how much pain he was starting to experience. So that probably saved him from having to drop out of the tournaments. So,
and in addition to the lack of pain, Matt, I would imagine that he probably got more solid contact by having more of that weight, that pressure in the front heel.
Yes.
As he came through, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So
Yeah.
Kind of it was a win-win there, less pain and better result.
He's one of the most, he won't agree with me, he's one of the most consistent ball strikers I've ever met. He can make some pretty inconsistent swings at times and hit almost the same shot. So it can actually be a tough lesson, because there are days where he's hitting this tiny little baby draw and you're kind of thinking, well, what's wrong with that? But a lot of it for him is working around his limitations to improve efficiency.